Before we start, please support the channel by liking and leaving a comment. Thanks so much. The Watcher Next Door. 3 days in a row. 3 days in a row, I took my morning walk around my new neighborhood, a kind of Rocky Mountain suburbia where tall meadow grass sprouts from the sloping yards of earth-toned homes, and he was walking up his driveway. 3 days in a row, just after 7 a.m., I left my cul-de-sac, perking my ears to make sure no car was coming around the blind curve, and walked onto the road along the ridge of the hill. Cool autumn air warming in the rising Sunday breathtaking view of snow-capped mountains in the distance. Skinny old guy with a perv mustache walking his ugly little poodle on a leash. As always, dressed in puffy winter jacket, wool hat, jeans, and boots, he waved without a smile. Not some normal greeting, but insistently, almost wildly, like something was off about him. And though my hand felt like a 20-pound plate, I waved back. Mathematically, the chances of meeting him at the exact same spot, where the driveway from his modest ranch home met the street, 2 days in a row had to have been 1 in 1,000. But 3 days? More like 1 in 1,000,000. Especially since, a full 3 weeks after moving out of hot, noisy Denver, these were the first times I'd laid eyes on him. Irritated, I kept walking along the ridge and down the hill, turned around and went back up. Sure enough, he stood in the shade of the ponderosa pines, where my cul-de-sac connects to the road, as if waiting for me, his dog snuffling the grass. He waved again, in that same frantic way. My stomach turned, even though I hadn't eaten breakfast. You might be wondering what's the big deal about an elderly man walking his dog and saying hi to a neighbor. Why would I even notice such a thing, much less let it bother me? I'll tell you why. It was his vibe. A heaviness rising off him like heat from summer pavement that almost made me feel like puking. And no, I'm not that way with anyone else. I have no problem greeting the husky middle-aged jogger huffing by on his morning run. Happy to smile at the kid's boy of maybe 11, girl of probably 9 waiting for the school bus. I even nod at the 20-something blonde in the red Jeep who speeds past me every weekend morning on her way back from who knows what late-night escapades. Yet this guy, I couldn't help but tense up when I was around. Like he'd done me some wrong, and I was holding a grudge my conscious mind couldn't remember, though my body did, deep in my bones. Because I'm polite, I always waved back. Still, it took a ton of effort, and afterwards I felt rotten, like I'd thanked someone for spitting in my face. That Friday before I went to bed, I set my alarm for 6 a.m. No way he'd be up that early on a Saturday. Yet out in the cool dawn, does and fawns nibbling the dewy grass, there he was again, walking up his damn driveway. I was so angry I crossed to the other side of the street. Still, I knew he saw me. The heaviness dropping on my shoulders like a wet coat. I walked slowly this time, hoping he'd be gone from my cul-de-sac by the time I got back. No such luck. My stalker stood in the same place he always did at the junction of the road. Done with being nice, I marched past, ignoring his wave. And when I was most of the way to my house, turned around to give him the finger. He was already gone. What the hell did he want from me? If he hadn't been such a frail old bag of bones, I'd have been afraid for my safety. But since I could have probably killed him with one good punch to the head, it was nothing more than creepy. Though plenty at that. The next morning, Sunday, I waited until after breakfast to take my walk. I wasn't even surprised when he was there again, pacing up his fucking driveway like it was the most normal thing in the world. I can't even articulate how much I hated this man. I was so mad I didn't even nod at Blondie as she whizzed by in her Jeep. Grinding my teeth, clenching my fists, I hurried back to the cul-de-sac, wanting only to get inside and lock my doors. I shook my head at the maniac as I went past. He didn't react, just kept waving. On Monday, I skipped my morning walk and only headed out when I got home from work. He was there at the top of his driveway, of course. Always there. I turned around and went straight home to call the cops. Breathlessly, I told them a crazy man was following me around my neighborhood. After a few minutes of trying to explain the gravity of the situation, and them reminding me that excessive friendliness wasn't a crime, I accepted they wouldn't be any help. I hung up. Tuesday and Wednesday I didn't go for a walk at all, just off to work at my usual time. On Thursday I ventured out a couple of hours after sundown, the night brisk and quiet. My heart pounded by the time I got to his driveway, except, wonder of wonder, he wasn't there. Then my guts turned to cement at the scuffle of footsteps, the patter of little paws. Red hot with rage, I was done. Absolutely done. "Hey, asshole!" Not having to see his wrinkled face made it easier to confront him. The footsteps stopped, but he didn't say anything. I could barely make out his figure, a dark stain in the night like an ink spill on a black page. "Why are you following me?" No response. "Well, I'm on to you," I spat, voice shaking with anger. Or was it fear? "And if I catch you anywhere near me again, I'm gonna beat the living crap out of you." I stalked off into the night, pulse pounding in victory. One thing for sure, I got my point across. No way he'd still be out when I got back. I turned around at the bottom of the hill and trekked up again, half hoping he was waiting for me so I could keep my promise. I imagined myself sweeping out his spidery legs and kicking him in the spine. Or shoving him hard in the chest so he fell on his bony butt. Or even just rearing back and decking him. While it's true that, outside of grade school scuffles, I've never hit anyone, this time I knew I'd deliver, and damn the consequences. On first glance, the cul-de-sac looked empty, but it was pitch black out, so I couldn't be sure. I strode along, and, indeed, no one at the junction. I felt something inside of me that had been tight for weeks finally unspool. Next morning, up and at 'em at my usual time. Though raring for a fight, verbal, physical, both, I had a feeling the old guy wouldn't be there. And I was right. No sign of him on his driveway. I even waited a minute to be sure, but the door to his squat little house stayed shut. For the first time in weeks, I enjoyed my walk. Fresh air in my lungs. Mountains glowing in the rising Sunday quiet. The whole reason I moved up from the crowded, stinking city. Happily, my luck held the next morning too. And the next. For a full, blissful week I saw neither hide nor hair of the weirdo and his scrawny dog. Now, Sunday morning, the old man still MIA, I start to feel a tiny bit bad. With the break I've had, I'd be okay seeing him once in a while. It was just the everyday thing that bugged me. As I stroll along the ridge road, blood singing in my veins, sky pastel blue, I wonder if maybe I was overreacting. After all, dogs need to go out at least a few times a day, so of course the guy would be out there first thing in the morning when everyone gets up. And, again, In the afternoon and evening, which happened to be the other times I took my walks. By the time I get to the bottom of the hill, it dawns on me that these strolls with his dog might be the only way the old codger breaks up his day. I don't think he's married or works, so he probably looks forward to his little trips around the neighborhood as much as I do. And what if the reason he kept bumping into me is because he's lonely and wants to talk but is too shy to say something? What if he's not the monster here, and I am? On my way back, I hope I'll catch him in the cul-de-sac so I can apologize. Strike up a little conversation. Get to know him a bit. A few minutes out of my morning won't kill me. He's not there. And my heart sinks. Still, it's not too late to fix this. Whistling a happy tune, I amble down his driveway and knock on the front door. I'm jolted by a deep, loud barking from inside. No way that tiny poodle is making these sounds. Before I can worry if I've got the right place, a clean-shaven 30-something man in collared shirt and slacks answers the door. Behind him, a brunette in blouse and skirt holds a snarling boxer by its collar. "Sorry to bother you," I say tentatively and a bit confused. "Is that older fellow around? Your dad? Maybe?" He squints. "My folks live in Phoenix." "Oh, hers maybe?" I nod towards the woman, who struggles to keep the growling dog from charging. The man shakes his head, and I catch a whiff of his piney cologne. "They're in Denver. What's this about?" I figure they're just being protective. In my kindest voice, I ask, "Who's the elderly man who lives with you?" He gives me a blank look. I dry swallow, nervous for some reason. "With the poodle." "Sounds like you got the wrong address." He shrugs. "Sorry, we're getting ready for work." My armpits drip and I'm jittery as if I've had too much coffee. Surely, I haven't been hallucinating. Before he can close the door, I blurt out, "You're saying an old man with a black poodle doesn't live here?" Before he can respond, the woman, who's finally calmed the boxer to a low whine, chimes up. "You mean the guy who used to own the place?" "Used to?" My tense shoulders relax. At least I'm not seeing things. "When was that?" "We've been here almost 3 years, she says. The realtor mentioned him. Guy in his late 70s? That's him. I sigh with relief, certain I've figured it out. He's still in the neighborhood? I think he's got dementia and keeps forgetting he doesn't live here anymore. The woman furrows her brow and shakes her head. The boxer is finally quiet. He didn't move. He died. No. Dizzy. I stagger back a step. You can look it up online. She nods. Winter of 2019, I think. Someone speeding past a stopped school bus almost ran over a couple of kids. At the last second, the guy pushed them out of the way. Got creamed himself. Poor little doggy, too. The sky spins, and I rub my eyes until I see stars. That's when the boxer breaks free and bolts towards the door. The man slams it in my face just in time. In a daze, I stumble up the driveway, tripping over my own feet. A ghost. I've seen a freaking times ghost asterisk. I threatened to times beat up times a ghost. No wonder the heavy vibes coming from the old guy, he's dead. Then a chill down my back, and maybe out for revenge. Nauseous, I pace along, staring down at the cracked pavement. If ghosts are real, does that mean there's an afterlife? A cartoonish image comes to mind of my grandparents dressed in white floating on a cloud. Does everyone become a ghost, or is it like the books and movies where they have unfinished business? How many are out there? Have I seen others before and not known it? Can everyone see them, or just some of us? And what about the poodle? Dogs can be ghosts too? Can all animals? Brain boiling like a tea kettle, I reach the top of the hill. Why is this guy haunting times me asterisk of all people? It's not like we have any history before last month. I hadn't even set foot in the neighborhood. I'm so caught up by the whirlwind of thoughts, I don't notice I'm in the middle of the street. Not until the red Jeep roars around the blind curve, headed straight for me.